My name is Patrick McGuinness. I'm a writer from Britain, but I'm also a writer from Belgium because I'm half Belgian. I think of myself as a writer who's mainly interested in how material and experiences can move across genres and forms, from poetry, memoir, into fiction and so on, and especially also move between languages. Having been brought up speaking French and English at home, I've always thought of writing, my writing at any rate, as being located on the kind of very rich intersection where you feel at home in both languages and also maybe not quite at home in either. The first book of mine that I would recommend is a book called Other People's Countries, A Journey into Memory. And it's about my childhood in Bouillon in the Ardennes. Some sections are poems, some sections are simply black and white photographs. And they're all meant to evoke, I guess, the way in which as an adult we return to the things that made us. And each time we return to them, we remake those memories and give them an order that they didn't have. And I think it's my most accessible book. Throw Me to the Wolves was my second novel that came out in 2019. It's very autobiographical too, in the sense that it's about a child being sent to a foreign country, in my case England, boarding school, en pension, as my Bouillon family used to say. And I got to this strange school, where 8, 9, 10-year-olds were living in what was essentially a brutal system that was regulated and ruled through a system of bullying. And I've always felt that I had some sort of privileged position, an insight into the way Britain worked as part of the English, specifically English, I think, psychodrama that in part explains how Britain got to the state that it currently is in. That is to say, a sort of post-Brexit right-wing government run by very entitled people. I was very lucky because, unlike a lot of the boys who at that age are sent into these schools, I always had somewhere else. I had Bouillon, I had my family, I had French. I had a sense of belonging somewhere else, and that saved me. And even now, I'm 55, the idea of having Belgium inside me makes me feel good, makes me feel free. I'm going to read a short poem from a sequence called After the Flood, A Journey in Diversions, which is a series of poems about Belgium and about Belgian railway stations. Diversion 4, Je m'aime reservoirs. Behind the tapestry of connectivity in a time of COVID, after floods, a time of masks and vaccine passes, the cast-off rails are rusting and the sleepers lie like matchsticks as the new track glitters with its fitted kitchen shine. Soon only the cities will talk, the way high-tech household gadgets communicate across the spaces where crumbs gather and the bodies leak. We are the provincial slack, we are the static on the line. Je prends le local, I'll take the local train. You let me have the capitals, you took the diversion every time. Like a lot of people, I suspect like a lot of writers, I tend to read several books at once in different forms. And at the moment, I'm returning to the poems of Odilon Jean Perrier, who died in 1928 at the age of 27. He's a writer who I think always represents for me how to write about Brussels with love, but also with a certain désabusé sense. There's no illusions here. And I think there's a tone in Perrier which is fresh and it's optimistic as well, at a time when it was very easy for avant-garde writers to be violent or pessimistic. He talks about Brussels as a blank page, the unwritten city, saying this is a literary city too, it just hasn't yet been written. And almost 100 years later, I think that's still true. Passa Porta residency, I think it's a sort of meeting place of something I finished and something I'm starting. I'm finishing a book of essays called Go Stations, Essays and Branch Lines, about memory, about Bouillon, incidentally, about Brussels, and about rail travel, and a little bit about poetry. And I am about 20,000 words into my next project, which is a novel, a historical-based novel about Ostend, in which Marvin Gaye features. I was amazed to hear a few years ago that not only had the great Marvin Gaye lived in Ostend in the early 80s, but he had actually written Midnight Love and Sexual Healing right there in Ostend. So that triggered in me something that I'd been wanting to do for a while, which was linking up a series of Belgian stories about different kinds of exiles, different kinds of outsider. I haven't yet decided whether the emphasis will be fact or fiction, but that's my departure point, and that's what I'm hoping to find out while I'm here in Passa Porta.